This program is about the end of an era in Austin, Texas.
Probably seen the better part of this era past.
I think we're in the same era, but we just have a major shift in real estate.
It's amazing how fast they can knock these buildings down once they get going. The era of the small guy in this part of town is pretty much seen its day.
All the affordable, acceptable workspaces are disappearing under the bulldozer blades, and none of these developers are building new, affordable studio spaces, right?
The first obvious symbol of the new era was an innocent sign notifying all the residents of the block, bound by 15th, 16th, Lavaca, and Guadalupe streets, that someone with some big bucks had big plans to change the landscape.
It's going to be a lot of money, and I understand they're going to have airplanes landing right out here behind us and all that.
Helicopters, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But that's for them to figure out. That's not my cup of tea.
I feel bad about being displaced by all those people coming here, right? And it makes me wonder what's going to happen in the future. I just don't know what to think.
Although everyone had to face the same developers, it was the artists of Shonuff Studios, right above Jack Brown Cleaners, who were concerned that the world that was their studio might be lost forever, and brought in videographers to document as much as possible the art, the artists, and the life that had been the end of an era. First day out was rather cold, perhaps symbolic of the buying out and removal of a block's worth of people and businesses. The addition to the neighborhood of yet another parking garage and office building seemed like overkill. But maybe that was part of the new era. These calculated business ventures were going on all over Austin. Oh, it was cold that day, and most definitely time to go up to the studio. For the moment, we'll have to delay our criticism of Austin's urban development greed problem and start rather lightheartedly toward our immediate goal: to document the life and times of Shonuff Studios. The art, the artists, the workspace, and the play space.
We offer something for everyone on your Christmas shopping insurance list.
A 5-dog production.
When the video cameras arrived at Shonuff, due to its imminent demise, there were only 3 artists left. They were Michael Priest, Danny Garrett, ex-Vietnam vet, and D. White, popularly known as Guy Juke.
When I count to 10, Dr. Holmes, you will very good.
First couple of tapes, I guess we were just feeling each other out, having fun. This was Austin, Texas, after all.
Intense fun is one thing that Austin has been characterized by.
Besides that, there were a lot of props and toys, and just a feeling of free energy around the place. It was really enjoyable.
Painting, painting over the canvas while paint the pretty pictures for the public's delight.
And what are artists? There are nerves. There are feelings. There are image makers.
Everything from match covers to tour trucks, everything from ads for the dirty movie houses to promotional aids for Rape Crisis Center and composites for Homicide and Robbery Division of the Police Department.
when I did that Willie Nelson poster this summer for the picnic on the East Coast. That was, you know, both a delight and a chore. That's great. You
It's
consider
a
it
gift of the gods. I don't know what it is. Art.
What is creativity? I mean, what is this gift you have? I mean, have you ever tried to evaluate it really?
Oh yeah, to a certain degree. It's a curse in a way, and it's
You
also
feel
a gift.
responsible to keep on creating because you have this ability.
Yeah, you do in a way. I mean, you know, at a point I realized that, you know, I could have gone into a more lucrative field. But I felt sort of compelled, you know, by fate to be an artist.
What's this piece you're working on now?
This is towards a record cover for an album called The Thief in the Night, which would be a lot of romantic soul ballads, and the basic concept being this darkly clad, curvaceous young woman sneaking out the window with this fellow's heart in a bag over her shoulder, looking back and grinning real sweet. Although this is certainly just developmental stages, and during these stages you end up creating many versions of the image.
Yeah, that one looks nice.
Well, this is a color test, this is a line test. None of these faces is particularly right on, but also I will have the client himself in to consult on what the face is actually going to look like and to choose things that he likes, which is an aspect of the way we work that may be a little unique. We've always preferred to work directly with the client rather than through an agent, and as much as possible to involve the client in the production to be sure of capturing as much as possible of the just the ambient feel of the experience.
Well, I like to delve into the archetypes of mankind.
Yeah.
Archetypes like Donald Duck's leg, or
Right.
his hat,
I
or
love
the balloon, or, you know,
The dialogue gadget there is like that.
or you know,
Mental
pyramid,
aspect of
or
it.
archetypes like a snow cone
Targets.
with the diamond on it, or
Cones.
bosom buddies.
Hey, that's your
Targets, X, Y, and Z. What are things that are easy to recognize, but you can't figure out exactly why the heck he's put them together like this. You know, I would strongly suspect from the way I've always worked that I do something subconsciously, and then as I work on it, I learn the meaning, you know, because I've done a lot of things which just came out. By the time I was finished with it, I realized I'd actually made a symbolic statement. But I didn't know that in the beginning. I think that would have labored my work if I had tried to figure out exactly, you know, because you get about 3/4 of the way through this symbolic statement, and then you have to start worrying about little details. But if it comes out naturally, you know, and then you realize it later, I think it's better.
When considering the art of a Michael Priest, Guy Juke, Danny Garrett, and many others who passed through Shonuff Studios, you are speaking about a huge body of work. Hundreds and hundreds of visual identities, commercial products, public events, musicians, and others. In fact, many performers found their images before they found success. Long after the act left town, the imagery remained on billboards, telephone poles, album covers, magazines, restaurants, bars, and private homes everywhere. What was it like for our unsung late-night heroes?
There was a constant stream of music and musicians through here that's been real healthy. D. White, Guy Juke, one of our long-standing members, has also been through several musical endeavors during the time we've been up here, so a lot of times there are things set up and playing right here in the room. Everything from Joe Gracie and Bobby Earl Smith and the Jackalope Brothers to ZZ Top and Joe Ely, and there's even a white spot on the floor over there where Roy Buchanan lost his lunch up here late one night after a little bit too heavy a party. So it's historically wise, it's been a very interesting little vortex to be in.
Danny and I had the most fun of anyone here. It was like our own form of visual vaudeville all the time. All the time, we just entertain people for hours and hours, and ourselves, with quips and quotes.
Some things have to be sacrificed. You know,
Really?
Either certain quality levels, you know, or money or sleep or health. Or
As far as working in here, it's always been very circus-like. But I'm used to working in those kind of situations, having developed most of my chops by working rock and roll shows where you get very short notice, working with very limited budgets, very little time to do things, so a lengthy and involved process was certainly out, and to a great extent these parameters dictated ultimately the nature of our art itself, which was very high impact, easy to reproduce artworks. Pen and ink by far was the best solution to that problem. Of course, this was all prior to Xerox. And that's what we all were and did. We whipped out millions of pen and ink posters overnight, as well as pen and ink advertisements, mailers, visual identities, logos, all of those things.
It wasn't too long before parts of the studio looked like a New Age museum.
Artists and crazies tend to collect interesting objets, and we ultimately decided the objets were overcoming the workspace in a lot of instances, so we decided if we concentrated all the objets in one area, we would not only get it out of our hair everywhere else, but we would create a new thing. Now there's even a name for it in the art field. It's called installation works.
Besides creating all sorts of visual identities, each artist in time developed his own definite style. Danny Garrett. Guy Juke. And Michael Priest. And what did our artist heroes think about the future?
for me and a lot of the other artists that have been doing it. And the era is kind of ended, of course, the posters that we do.
Juke's attitude, fight fire with fire.
I want to find what the public wants and needs and what they're willing to pay for, and damn it, I'm going to do it. I don't care. I'll sell out, yeah.
As spokesman and one of Shownuff's founding fathers, Michael Priest had probably the most complicated outlook on the future.
Big old scary monster, and that's a fact. What's worse, it's a big old scary dumb monster in that there's not enough coordination between them and the city and the people that live here to make some kind of cohesive plan. Subsequently, we're all suffering from boomtown development. I'm afraid what we're going to see happening in Austin, which has been known for a pretty explosive renaissance of creative energy, I have a feeling that's going to dissipate a great deal.
But there was a silver lining to Michael's cloudy outlook.
I've been studying a little bit about computer graphics, and it turns out that there do exist machines even now which will do everything all these supplies and all this work area does, all inside one desk-sized console. And I'm looking forward to the day we can afford to have one of those.
How much do they run? How much do they
Well, right now, just for the core, it'd be $125,000, which would allow you to draw, paint, and animate on one machine and have it read out as film, as video, as printer's plates to reproduce multiple copies, as in posters or handbills or fine art prints. There's also a new thing I just read about in here that's a painting device that actually paints canvases from computer information. So I'm future-wise, I'm looking very forward to availing myself of some of these things in one way or another. I don't ever expect to be able to afford any of them to own, but I'm hoping to develop access to these kind of things. How about you?
Oh, pretty good.
In the final days, we went on several walking tours of the entire building, finding life here and there along the corridors, stairways, studios, offices, and workshops. What had been a thriving workspace for a great many artists, craftspeople, and musicians was now more empty than full. On the ground floor, there was one person we had to meet, however, and this was Warren, rent collector, handyman, and checker player par excellence.
I've never seen anybody get more tickled by beating the hell out of someone.
That's fun.
You give Warren so much pleasure, Phil.
I do. Oh, gosh.
Won't give up?
No, not yet. I'm still going to get you.
Yeah, I had to check a game of playing in Houston. And I played all night. My brother come over and asked me if I want to make some money. I said, yeah. He loaned me $1. Well, went over there and Bill Jordan, the guys beating everybody coming and going. Yeah, and this man had him beat. And he moved the wrong checker. That guy beat him. Well, he said, who's next? I sat down, I said, well, I'll play. I said, how much you want to play for? My brother gave me $4. I said, tell what I do. I said, I'll play you $2 again. And when 2 o'clock come, I had him broke.
Yeah, he broke.
He had 2 o'clock, closed at 2 o'clock. And about 10 minutes to 2, I broke him. When all money he had went all them boys, he pat me on the shoulder and said, you're the best check player I ever played with. I said, I'll tell you the truth, mister. When I was born with a checkerboard in my hand. He said, I'll believe it. Yeah, it tickled me.
Later that day, we bumped into Warren again, up on the roof. I guess the artist liked him. He was a good old boy. But there was something else up there on the roof that day. You could feel a strange kind of tension between the worlds. The hard, cold, straight, logical texture of the bank, the parking garage, and the new Austin. And the easygoing, gentle, ramshackle, laid-back, humorous lines and texture of the old Austin. And up there you could practically hear the businessman's argument. Modern is better. New is better. Let's clean up Austin and get rid of these eyesores. Let's bring Austin into the 21st century. Why, look at our artist rendering. Our building will be the epitome of modern beauty. Clean, straight lines and pleasant curves. 3 months later, the building came down. We taped the wreckage and then talked with Rick Bates of Rico's Italian Restaurant, which was still operating. It soon became clear that in all of this, profit was the guiding principle.
As far as I know, there is an organization that's bought up this whole square block, and they intend to build a 17-story office building that's, I hear, going to house high-tech industries. They're going to have a 9-level parking garage in the back half of the block between the alley and 16th Street. most of the people in this block haven't had much to say about when they're leaving. Well, they were given an ultimatum: you have to be out by, April, May, or June 1st. My circumstances were different because I had a long-term lease and I didn't have to leave at all if I didn't want to.
Yeah. 2 months later, the entire block was leveled, except for one business that refused to sell and wanted to stay where they were: Lemons Finance Company. We spoke to the owner, Senator Vernon Lemons, and he spoke plainly about the proposed office building complex.
They're going to try to buy me out, but they won't offer enough to make it interesting, and rather I should say they don't offer enough that I can replace the property. I don't want to be unfair, though. I want to tell you that up to this point, these people have been very generous with me. They've been fair, and they haven't tried to pull any funny things. And our contractors back here, not our contractors, their contractors that are clearing this property have been gentlemen all the way. They had an accident and just hit the end of our building here. They've repaired that, and the workers have been real kind to us, and I would want to pay tribute to them. And now the other folks, I don't have too much contact with them because they came out and made me an offer that was not in the book at all, and
not even in the range.
No, and I just told them it wasn't use now discussing that further. So I think that it's a thing that we can't agree on. So we're just going to go ahead and peddle our wares and wait on our customers and hope that they do all right.
When they're ready to come to you, maybe they'll do it.
If they get ready to deal, well, we'll still be here at the same old place.
A year later, One Capitol Square was a growing reality. This 17-story office building complex, along with its beautiful parking garage, towered proudly over the block Shonuff Studios and many other businesses had once called home. However, what you might call a measure of karmic justice, or you get what you deserve, has since prevailed. On the one hand, many developers have fallen on hard times, or even gone bankrupt. One of them, Reuben Johnson, an investor in One Capitol Square, has faced criminal charges and suits for alleged underhanded financial dealings. And it appears there is so much unnecessary office space in Austin that many buildings are reporting grave vacancies. On the other hand, Rico's has reopened, Lemons Finance Company continues to operate successfully, and our Shonuff artists and many of their friends received public awards and attention from Barker History Center and the Doherty Arts Center. In the words of John Wheat of the Barker History Center,
we think the collection that you see part of exhibited here is a very important collection, aside from the fact that it's a very interesting, entertaining, and sometimes very humorous collection. It's also a very important collection, and we think for historical reasons, that's why we're glad to have it at the Barker Texas History Center. Some of these posters are real documents of what I call urban cultural history, and we're very glad to have them here. They show not only a record of what was happening in Austin during about the past 15 years, but they also show the way that the public was led to perceive the music scene, the Austin scene, which extends far beyond Austin's city limits, as you all well know.
And what did the artists think of all this hoopla and public attention?
Oh, that's well, I'm amazed.
Yeah, I just want to thank University of Texas for, 15 years later recognizing everybody and doing this, and maybe it'll somehow make us all valid and make it all worthwhile, I guess, because we were doing a lot of these for, you weren't making any money. You were making a little bit. You'd make a little bit of money, and you'd get into Armadillo free and see the shows. And I think basically that was one of the main attractions.
Now that the gathering places are gone, it feels good to have one last kind of get-together where all our work is put together for keeping, for future posterity and all that.
It's encouraging that an institution has been institutionalized, in the sense that did create an institution of sorts, in the sense of his, the true sense of that word. Eventually, once you've covered the entire environment with imagery, sooner or later someone notices it,
The thing that amazes me a lot about this is that all the guys that drew these, we were pretty much friends. We all got along together, and they're still all here. Most of them are still in town, 10 or 15 years later, and they're still doing it. So it wasn't any kind of little passing fancy thing that was going to go away overnight.
I dream of big rooms, but Austin doesn't have very many to offer. It'd be nice to have a studio in one of those offices that are unrented. They stay unrented for a long time in some cases, many cases. Surely they're not booked in advance for every floor and every room. And I got to thinking about all the windows that are being built above the street level that offer views of, and no one is in those windows painting. No one is people whose career and entire energy is designed toward making images of things don't have the opportunity to make images from the most prime vantage points. The people who are in those offices generally are working at word processors, and you seldom look up and see them standing gazing out the window. If they do, they'll lose their job.
And he turns and he waves and he yells, "Let's go! I'm going where all the old cowboys go. I'm heading for the last rodeo."
What's it called? It's called End of an Era.
End of an era. I'm trying to get
End of old Austin, beginning of new Austin.
I heard that.